Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. Today is the second video in my fruit tree pruning class that happened a week or so ago. Now, this video is going to be by Owen, and he's going to talk about fruit tree care. He's going to cover pruning of fruit trees, how different fruit trees react to the pruning pests. He's going to talk about fertilizing and disease control and insects. I will also put a link to our last fruit tree pruning video, so enjoy.
At Rolly Farms on Thursday is you're not really farming peaches, you're not farming cherries, you're not farming apples, you're farming sunshine. And what you want to do in this thing is you want to get the sunlight on as many leaves as possible. I think he said something about you need about some weird number that I don't remember leaves in order to make one peach. There's a number of leaves that you have to have on the thing to have a good healthy peach. And if you cut too much of this tree off, okay, you're not going to have enough leaf surface to produce that sugar. You remember, this all starts with the chlorophyll cycle. Those leaves are what's making the tree. It's also what's providing the sugar that's going into the fruit. That fruit is not sweet on its own, it's taking it off of the leaves. The leaves send it down there, you had a leftover, and stick it in there. Okay, and that's where all that sugar is coming from, and nobody wants a sour peach unless you buy a lemon in Alberta, and then you got to put the sugar in by yourself. And again, what you're doing is you're farming sunlight. Get the sunlight on as many leaves as you're going to have left, okay, and let it rip, okay. Remember physics, okay? We all know physics. We all know that gravity is keeping us down on the ground. We want to make sure that the gravity is not pulling these peaches over here down on the ground that hard. Okay.
Now, they were fine until we had the huge windstorm that came through.
Yes.
And what it does, this is exactly what wind damage looks like,
Yeah.
is it twists the branch back and forth and just rips it right open.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to think that, one, Lily doesn't want to climb a ladder up here, so she wants to be safe. We're going to take this one here out, because this one is just too far back. I'm going to put that right there. Actually, if you take, look at this, see this? You got the blade on one side, you have the heel on the other, anvil. If you put the anvil on this side, okay, to give you a buffer, okay, it's almost the perfect length to take that. You holding onto that? And that is a nice clean cut. That will scab over. You've got all this nice green stuff happening right there, and that's going to heal over in probably about 3-4 years if these last that long.
Now, did you show, was there any disease that came through? Can you kind of
I
talk
see
a
nothing
little
over here.
Can you talk a little bit about how to tell if there's...
Really, the main diseases you have to be concerned about on your stone fruits, pardon me, is going to be corinium blight and cytospora. Okay, they are similar in how they present themselves. You'll see little blisters of sap oozing out, which is generally going to be hard, and that will occur pretty much anywhere on the tree. Corinium blight has a tendency to be around joints, and new growth cytospora will happen on main branches. Okay, corinium blight is treatable, cytospora is not. Okay, you're going to lose the tree. You're not going to lose the tree this year. You might lose it in 5 years as opposed to 10. But it's a peach tree. It's only supposed to last for 15 to 20 years anyway.
These are 12 to 13 years old.
There you go. So you're approaching.
They're at the end of their lives.
Yeah, they still have some nice, good, vigorous growth. Look it up here. See what that did last year? That did good. So you're not getting creaky and old like me and Alex. Okay, but it's still producing decent peaches. You like the peaches?
The peaches are the best ever.
Okay.
Oh, I love them.
Then keep the thing going.
This one is a lemon Alberta, but I love it.
She likes
and
lemons.
That one right there is
Sourpuss.
my favorite. The one that's dwindling down to nothing is my O. Henry. They're huge.
Oh,
and they're
yes.
Very, very, very late. They're
Oh, Henry's
the last peach to ripen.
middle of September. They're awesome. And this bad boy over here that somebody's been climbing, that's a nectarine. Yeah, nectarines are still pretty much the same thing as a peach.
What do you do to get rid of borers?
On the borers, you prevent them as much easier than getting them out.
Yeah.
To
Once they're
prevent
in there,
them,
they're in there.
the standard chemical, I'm going to say this every time I say chemical, rotate your chemicals. Okay, don't use the same thing all the time. Your standard chemical to prevent them is spinosad. That is organic, in case anybody wants to be organic about that. It is the preferred chemical. It does a better job than pretty much anything else out here that you can buy. There's other things that you can't buy unless you want to get a license to do that. And do you really want to put that on your Petri when your dogs and your kids are out in the backyard? No, you don't. So, but again, if you get the best thing to prevent them out, rotate your chemicals anyway. And to do that, you will be spraying the bottom of the tree.
Oh, right there. There's the start.
Okay, you're going to be spraying from here down. Because that bug, the greater peach tree borer, okay, is going to come along in July or August, okay, and it's going to lay an egg right there. It doesn't lay it there, it doesn't lay it there. It lays it in the dirt, about 2 to 3 inches away from the tree. And on any day that happens, you know, it's going to take about 2 to 3 days for that egg to hatch, okay? It's going to crawl over. It's going to drill a hole right in there. It's going to bore in. Once you get past that bark, how are you going to get it out? Whatever you do is either going to be systemic in order to get into the tree and then up here, and then it's going to be in your peaches because your peaches are going to ripen up in August. So it's better to prevent it than it is to treat it. Okay, that's the easiest thing. I'm not going to tell you how to treat it because it's just harder work than anybody ought to do. 15. All the way to the end of August. I know the extension service says do it once a month and start in July because the bug is active and laying eggs in July and August. I don't want that bug in my tree, ever. And it has a 2-week residual on it, so I'm starting 2 weeks before it starts. And we're gonna hit it every stinking 2 weeks until that thing is gone and dead and done. You know, because I don't want that bug in my tree because I like my peaches.
Another thing that should be said if we're going to talk chemicals is the label is the law.
The label is the law.
Literally.
Do not do anything wrong with that thing. Just because it says 1 ounce per gallon, do not be doing that 3 ounce per gallon thing. That ruins things. Okay? Do not believe that thing about putting mothballs in the ground in order to keep them away. I have dug up mothballs out of around a tree that was dead, or half dead, because it had borers, like 5 or 6 peach tree borers down here, mothballs that big in the dirt. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Don't try the garlic either, because really, you want garlic or do you want a peach tree? Yeah, I put garlic around my peach tree, and I still spray it.
This is garlic around my peach tree.
There's garlic, and you're still spraying, right?
No, I haven't sprayed for a while.
Really?
What does the garlic do? It just keeps...
Some people say it keeps it away.
I have not sprayed them. I like every few years or so. Like this year, I think there's one in there right now. If as you walk by, go like right in here, you can kind of see a little bit of the gummy stuff.
Yeah, it's coming out there.
Yep, that's where they are.
So I would rather never have that bug at all, because that
So I
thing can
got
take a
it,
tree out.
even with the garlic this
What
year.
if you have some little holes like up here with a little sap coming out? Is that?
Yeah, if that is a hole and that is a amber sap and it's hard, that is once again either the Corynnean blight or the Cytospora.
Okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you heard me or not, the Corynnean blight, easily treatable twice a year, this time of year, and once the leaves come off, spray it with liquid cop. Okay, that's basically
What's
just
it called
copper.
again?
Liquid cop.
Liquid copper.
Okay.
Oh, liquid copper.
Liquid copper. Okay, and that will get rid of it. If you know you have that occurrence, spray it twice a year until you know it's gone. Okay, once it's gone, spray it once a year, March, and you won't get it.
And then if you cut some branches and you see a hole down in them?
Then that's probably going to be a peach twig borer.
There's 2 different types. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to be doing more chemicals, and I'm not going to tell you how to do that because I don't have a license anymore.
So the twig borer, does that mean you take the tree out?
No, you cut until you don't see the hole anymore, like this one right here.
Okay, just,
If you had-
just get rid of them.
If you see that right there and you have a hole, okay, you come over here, still have a hole, come over here. Oh, no more hole. Bug gone. Same thing happens with the tangent here. Raspberry cane borer. Okay, you see that swelling down at the base of the thing, cut below it, get rid of it. You know, have a nice organic method of getting rid of the thing. You know, no chemicals, no nothing, no fuss, and just get rid of it. You know, don't put it in your compost either. Put it in the garbage, get rid of it. You know, but again, it's a lot easier to prevent it than it is to fix it. So get it stopped. You know, it's just a bottle of spray, and it's a nice, good spray. Actually smells kind of good if you want to hear me say something like that about chemicals.
What's it called again?
It is a very safe chemical for humans.
Yeah.
Now, it will affect other insects.
Yeah.
Now, Dan was very specific on where he sprays it and when he sprays it.
Yep.
Because this is one of the sprays that can affect bee larvae.
So you have to
If you
really-
use it according to label and as Dan has specified, it's not going to hit a bee.
And you're never spraying a blossom on any tree, and the blossoms are really the only thing that the bees are after, the honeybees. You know.
Yeah, so by doing exactly what Dan said,
Right down
by
there,
reading
there's
the
no
label,
blossoms down there.
the label will actually tell you if there's a hazard to honeybees. Read
It's
the
an
label.
insecticide,
Read
and
the
bees are
label.
insects. Don't spray the bees. They're having a tough time. Preferred chemical is spinosad. Spinosad is how you would be spelling that. Okay, but you want to rotate your chemicals. There are other chemicals that will work. So 1 year use spinosad, or do your 2 or 3, is good pest management practices. You want to use spinosad this time. Use permethrin next time. And I'm not sure any other chemicals that's going to work.
Is it still too early?
No,
No,
I've been pruning since warm days in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, warm
I've
day
just
in
been waiting
January,
for
go
the
ahead.
snow to go.
Standard operating rule, there is dormant season pruning. Is dormant season pruning, doesn't matter when you do it, as long as the leaves are off the tree, you're good. There are also active growth periods when you can do that. You know, summer prune to head back things that are growing too quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. If we make some heading cuts here and this thing reacts poorly to it, like putting on 6 foot of growth, I can come back once she gets the cherries off, and we'll correct that. Malie does not have any pear trees. Do you have any pear
I
trees?
do, down there.
She has a pear tree. My common rule of thumb on a pear tree is no matter what you do to it, it's going to water sprout. That's just the nature of the beast.
Just does it.
And I second
Just
that.
does it.
I thought
Okay.
it-
If you want to try the Asian pear, they don't do it anywhere near as bad. They're much better behaved.
They
Okay,
like
try
to
an
grow
Asian pear.
tight and
They taste better, and they don't react like the European pears do. Okay, so if you want to try that, go ahead. I have switched to trying to prune pears in the summertime because they don't water sprout as bad that time. Yeah, but if anytime you take off more than 10 or 15% off of a pear,
It's
it water sprouts in dormant season pruning. You know, and the growing season pruning works out better.
Okay. So Dan, can you talk about open center,
Yes.
central leader,
Which is kind of
all
what
that great
the
stuff?
whole Dave Wilson backyard method here is. You've got these 3 trees. They are planted at an angle, so automatically you have an open center when you have 3 trees. Okay, and again, what I was saying about what I was learning from Rowley Farms is farm the sunlight. Okay, get as much leaf surface as you can exposed to sunshine, and then you'll get better fruit quality. Okay, if you have a central leader, like on pear trees, love those pear trees, then you're doing that because the nature of the beast wants to be taller and does not necessarily need sun to ripen up anything. Apples can often be trained as a central leader. Commercially, they are normally grown central leader, modified heavily. You know, but on this thing right here, your peaches and nectarines, it is acceptable and expected to do open vase, okay, or chalice as some people refer to it. On apples, you are typically doing what's normally referred to as modified central leader. On a cherry, I'm gonna take about 10 feet off this cherry today because it's just getting too darn fast. You can look up here and see what it did 2 years ago. Do you see the crow's nest up on top here? Yeah. Call that a crow's nest. It goes up and then comes out like this. Okay. Last year looked like he was doing about 1.5 to 2 foot. The year before is that big long critter right there. That's a 6 footer right there, and that needs to come off. You'll also notice that the only place you have blossoms on some of those is right at the last foot of them, the big ones. You know, and you have no chance of me making cherries below that. That tree's job is to make cherries for Malie so she can make us cherry pie. Right?
I freeze
Yes.
them and eat them out of the freezer like 10.
And when it's doing that, it's not doing your job. You gave it a job, it's not doing it. You might have been the one to cause the problem there, but it's not doing it now, and it's your job to fix it. So I'm going to get up in there. I will probably be using my pole pruners. I don't think I need to take a chainsaw up in that, but I will for that one. Other than that, it's just the form of the tree is how it produces best. Peaches, nectarines, you always do open vase. Okay, you can easily do that with an apricot. Do you really have apricots? You will still get the Coronium blight or Cytospora in there. Make sure your tools are clean, and make sure if you have the chance to spray it. Cytospora normally gets in because of cold winters. This here will get extremely cold, and that will crack, and then you'll have that bacteria get inside. So it's not like something you can actually prevent, unless you want to hit the thing with a fungicide of some sort right at the end of the season. You know, and liquid copper, it's just copper, you know, suspended in a solution. It's pretty organic. I'm not sure that Armory agrees with me on that one. If you agree with me.
Will, depending on the formulation.
All right.
And you do have to be careful, because if you're spraying, you know, homeowners will not be doing it, but in commercial orchards, I don't think they use copper as much anymore.
No, actually, no.
Because-
We're always using copper.
Because
They do the 3 different types. They're always rotating 3 different types of chemicals, schedule 1, 2, and 3, or whatever.
build up of copper in the soil if you use it too much.
Yeah, if you let it hit. So.
You spray paint the trunk white? Would that
The painting of the trunk white is something that is not insect related or disease related. It's to keep the winter sun off of this, so that it doesn't winter burn.
That
Okay.
doesn't help with the cracking as a side product.
It does help with the cracking, but that's cracking from a different method. And it can, yes.
Noted, you're not going to use a spray paint. You're going to use a water-based urethane, and you're going to thin it out 50%. 50 water, 50 paint, and that'll make it so it's not so heavy that it seals up the pores.
Okay.
Or makes it gummy.
And the principle behind that thing is, even though it may be 20 degrees out here, okay, and you have cold up here and you have snow down here, all that reflected sunlight is hitting this dark bark. And your bark, even though you have 20 some odd degrees out here, this bark can be almost 50 degrees. It thaws it out big time, rather quickly. And then as soon as that sun dips below the horizon, you have the upper sunlight gone, you have the reflected sunlight gone, and it's going to drop 30 degrees, you know, in less than an hour. You know, and that's what does that big damage to a lot of trees. When you take these branches right here, this smooth bark right here, this is first year growth, okay? This is last year's growth, okay? If you take this and take the tips off, or wherever you're trying to take them off, this will invigorate this branch. This will make this branch grow more. If, however, you come over here and cut it here, okay, that's a heading cut, okay, and that will stop, kind of, pretty much, any more growth this direction. You won't get another bud here. We'll probably force growth out onto here. And on a branch like this, you're looking at 1 peach. Okay, maybe 2 if you're lucky. You got enough around there. Space your fruit so that you have a whole hand in between. You can have a peach there and a peach there. 2 branches. You have almost a foot of 1 year growth there. You're going to get 2 peaches off of that. 4, 6, 8, 10. You're going to be about. You could get 15 out of there. 20, 30, 40. You're going to get about 40 peaches off of this tree right here. Maybe more. Okay. The more you get, more you get, smaller they get.
Yeah. Let's get back to the heading cuts and water sprouts.
Okay.
Because somebody was asking earlier about removing water sprouts. I generally remove water sprouts unless it's in a good spot where I want to force new growth. Then I will head that water sprout in the center and see what we get off the edges and start picking branches off of that for new fruiting wood.
So Dan, you said you talked about the difference between the new bark and the old bark.
Yes.
And so are you saying that when you
When
cut
you cut the
on new bark, it
last year's
invigorates
growth,
it?
okay, that's going to make this grow more.
Okay.
But if I was to cut this here, okay,
On older growth.
yeah,
it
you're
doesn't
not going
grow
to see anything else coming out over here.
more. Okay.
Okay, that's going to make this one and this one and this one and this one grow.
Okay.
Okay, and you typically want to head those things back so that you have a little bit of
So the older growth will just grow more of the newer growth that's on the older growth. But if you cut,
Yes.
if you cut the newer growth,
If I cut here,
it'll start new growth.
because really what's going on here is you got these leaves. This is a total system right here. Okay, and it's sucking some nutrients and water out of the ground, and it's got all this vascular tissue coming up here. Okay, and it used to have this right here, and it knows it's got that potential, and it's got all the vascular tissue to do that here. If you cut that off, the highway is still running. Okay, it's going to push them here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to push it too much out here. You're not going to get tons of other sprouts coming out the end like the guy did over there with flying around on the chainsaw on a ladder.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
make sure you get some healthy growth. You want to make sure you take anything off that doesn't look healthy.
Things that are crowding, like I would take this guy off in the center. No.
This one. Where?
That
This
guy.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that guy off
That's a.
because he's crowding.
Okay, and then you might go here, and again, you could take up to about 60% of this tree off.
Yep.
Okay,
Because
the new wood.
Because
You
it's
never
a-
count this stuff. You always count the leafing surface of the plant.
Does the 60% rule vary depending on the age of the tree? Like
Yes,
if you've
it
got
does.
a newer tree.
Yes.
Yes, a younger tree will be more vigorous. An older tree, which these are not showing signs of decrepitude. Okay, you still have good growth on every one of these things. Okay, as soon as it starts getting this right here to be its maximum growth per year,
Then it's time
start
to-
treating it like your Aunt Tilly.
Okay.
Okay, it's on its way out. Give it a nice end off. Once I had a 20-year-old peach tree when I was her age. Okay, got 2 peaches off it. Okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to go. You know, and if you want to do the successive planting, don't wait for this thing to go. Plant a group of 3 down here before it's gone.
Is that the same with all fruit trees? So like apple trees?
If you want to.
That kind of have like a lifespan.
Apple trees
and-
don't really have a lifespan. If you take care of them, they will outlive you.
Yes.
Peaches, you expect 15 to 20.
Mostly
Nectarines,
'cause
you
of the
expect
borers.
the same thing.
Yeah. Worse
Uh,
than disease issues.
Yeah, cherries have a 30-year lifespan on the thing, productive lifespan. Apricots will outlive you. I have had 100-year-old apricot trees before, and they're amazing. They just keep cranking and cranking and cranking. If you don't want your plum tree, let's see, 6, 12, 18 to be 20 feet in the air, and this one here is 18 feet in the air, and you're not going to pick those plums up there, are you? But you don't want that thing to be 20 feet in the air. But it pretty much is. So what you do is you're going to wind up turning it into some sort of weird thing that it wasn't designed for. Okay, but you're the boss, and so you're doing it. Okay, you don't want that thing 20 feet in the air. But look at that thing.
Can you see all the new growth? You can see where I
Look at
cut
that.
it to last
6 footers,
year, and you can
8
see all
footers.
the new growth.
They're monsters. Okay, so when I do plum trees, as a general rule in my business, I will cut out the small stuff, and then I will get my extension, my pole saw, and put the hedge trimmer extension on it, because these things are tiny. They're just stinking tiny, and I can get up there at about the 10-foot level, or 12-foot level, and take them off.
Yeah, I always, that's what I do, is I cut off, those huge massive branches at the end.
Yeah.
I just take them all off.
I can thin them out.
If I want, if there's some that look like they could, make the tree a better shape, and it's not
Then
going to
you
ruin
leave it.
things, I will cut off some of them and then head the other one and see if I can get the different shape.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you're gonna end up topping-ish? both
Topping
ways?
is a dirty word. Please don't
Well,
say that. We have
These are
women
fruit
here.
trees, it's not
We have
topping.
arborists
It's-
here. Don't
it's
say the words like that.
Women, right? It's
Topping is taking.
topping is just like slicing the top off. I know. But you're
Yes.
like,
So what you're doing is you're doing an annual, every year, reforming of the tree.
yeah.
Okay. Topping would be taking this quakey. Let's see, 6, 12. Right there at the 14-foot level. See that three prong right there?
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be taking that middle one out. And then going left and right and taking both those other 2 branches out where you have almost horizontal sub branches. That's topping a tree.
And that is wrong.
And that is wrong. And that is hard on the trees. It's abusing your children. Don't do that. We don't do that crap around here. And it's basically cutting the tree in half.
But isn't that kind of what you have to do that every year if you're trying to keep your tree below 6 feet or something?
No, because really what topping is taking a 50 foot, is that 50? It's more like 45-foot tree and turn it into a 20-foot tree.
Okay.
That's a horrible thing to do to any
Yes.
plant like that. Except for your grass, which you do once a week, right? In any case, keeping it down and maintaining it makes it serve you better. It is there to be beautiful in your backyard and give you food and give your children a chance to explore and find out that it's not at the store. And oh, this costs money, Mom? Well, yes, as a matter of fact, this was going to cost you money to maintain it.
When they're young, I'll fertilize probably 3-4 years until I start seeing, like them taking off.
Yeah, if they're taking off and doing fine without any additional fertilizer, you can let the neighbor's cats come over here and bury their poop. That works. Okay. If they're doing fine without it, I would still recommend once every few years taking a soil sample, or you could even take a leaf sample to the USU and have them analyze how much food value you have in your soil based upon the leaves. That's a summertime thing. Soil sample you can do anytime, and then they will determine what your tree is going to need in order to provide you the most fruit. And you can do that with any other tree. You can do that blue spruce. Did you have a question back there? I thought I saw somebody do this. Yes?
You had mentioned it's not good to top a tree. So,
Yes.
so if you have trees that have grown way out of size, is
Then
the
you
best
take them down in a multi-year project.
just take a little off each
The
year?
multi-year project, and again, that's
And do it properly.
properly. There is the basic homeowner mantra: never take more than a quarter of a tree off. Okay, as Alex mentioned earlier, there are cheat methods. We just talked about peaches over there. You take 60% off those things every year. You can take half of an apple off a year. Okay, you can take up to about 40% of a cherry off a year. Okay.
Does that include brand new trees? I have, all my trees are 1 year old.
On your brand new stuff, you should be forming them, getting them going the direction you want. Okay.
I have.
And again, as mentioned earlier, I think it was which gentleman? This gentleman back here asked, how do you treat a young tree different from a middle-aged tree as opposed to an older tree? Yes, a younger tree can take a lot heavier pruning than a middle-aged, that's these trees, or an older tree.
I sat down and looked at the apple trees and my peach trees, and I'm going to talk about the backyard orchard and show you how much I take off the first year.